Sergeants, please call the members, have them report to the council chambers. I want to thank Mr. Bonnie Buscaino. Mr. Blumenfield is here. Members, if you're in your offices, report to the council chambers so that we can begin our work for today. Okay, today is Wednesday. Can I have your attention? Today is Wednesday, February 17th. Welcome to your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. The public is welcome. Mr. Clerk, we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Engener, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Carrasco, Corian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson, 11 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Rue moves, Martinez seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Cedillo moves, O'Farrell seconds. Next.
Mr. President, the Office of Finance recommends that items 2 A, B, C, and E be received and filed inasmuch as the taxpayers have made payment arrangements for the liabilities owed. The Department of Building and Safety recommends that items 1C, D, E, G, P, Q, R, and 43, C, F, and H be received and filed inasmuch as the liens were paid in full. That items 1N and 1V be received and filed inasmuch as the properties were determined to be owner-occupied single-family dwellings. That item 43A be received and filed. That item 43D be reduced to $398.56 due to late fees being rescinded by the department. And that item 43W be received and filed inasmuch as the lien was rescinded by the department. Further, there are requests to continue items 1S and 43 P, T, and T to March 2nd.
Okay, so without objection, that'll be the order. That brings Mr. Bonin.
I'd like to continue item 1X for 30 days.
So, Mr. Bonin, item 1X to March 18th. Mr. Clerk?
Very good, sir.
Okay, let's move on.
President?
Yes,
Sorry.
Mr. Englander.
Thank you. And 43K for 30 days, please.
So we'll do that, and that'll be March 18th as well. Mr. Cedillo.
Yes, sir. On 1Y, we move to remove the surcharges and late fees, sir.
And again, Mr. Cedillo, give me that.
We want to remove the surcharge and late fees on 1Y, sir.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, items 1 through 18 are items noticed for public hearing.
Do we have cards?
Yes, sir. Cards on items 1, 2, 8, and 18.
Let's hold those items and let's vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
Twelve ayes.
Thank you. Continue.
Mr. President, that brings us to items 19 through 40. They're items for which public hearings have been held. There are requests to send items 22 and 23 forthwith, and a motion is required for item 32. It should be held on the desk.
Okay, we'll hold 32. And let us, members, any specials? We'll vote on the... Mr. Previn, please, you're disrupting the meeting. Okay, let us, on the remaining items, let's open the... Mr. Krikorian.
Item 31, please.
31 for Mr. Krikorian. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, let's continue. Mr. Rue. Please. 23 forthwith. And was it 22 as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's move on.
Mr. President, items 41 and 42 are items scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold them on the desk?
I will defer. Why don't we hold them right now and we'll move on? So let's hold those items and move on, Mr. Clerk, to the next agenda items.
Very good. On the continuation agenda, items 43 and 44 are items noticed for public hearing.
Do we have cards?
On item 44, sir.
Okay, let's hold item 4. No one wishes to speak on 43. Let's prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That brings us where?
Items 45 through 80 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, specials members. Mr. Englander.
Thank you, Mr. President. 73 and 74, we're circulating an amendment.
Okay, let's hold those. Let's vote on the remaining. Let's, Mr. Krikorian.
51, please.
51.
Thank you.
Let's vote on the remaining. Let us open the roll, No, we'll scratch that. Ms. Martinez.
Sorry about that, Mr. President.
No
49 for Mr. Weezer.
Well,
We can continue it until February 23rd.
okay, so
Item 49 for Mr. Weezer.
on item 49, there's a request that that item be continued until February 23rd. Let's hold item 45. Let's vote on the remaining. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote,
13 eyes.
continue.
Items 81.
Wait, Mr. Root.
Mr. President, 59 forthwith.
Without objection, 59. Forthwith. Yes.
Items 81 through 94 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Mr. Fuentes.
Number 87, special for a technical amendment.
In fact, before we do that, let me just say, without objection, those items are now before this body. And what number was that, Mr. Fuentes?
87.
87. Mr. Krikorian.
Item number 90, please, Mr. President.
90 from Mr. Krikorian. Mr. Englander.
Very much. 82 special, please, and then 89 for a friendly amendment that's being be circulated.
Okay. Cards again. 94 for Mr. Root. Mr. Blumenfield.
Number 83 special, please.
83 special. Anything left, Mr. Clerk?
I believe that leaves for items, the items that don't have cards and that haven't been called special by a member, that leaves 84, 85, 88, and 93.
Okay, does that sound about right? Well, let's vote on those items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
Okay, that brings us where?
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special or public comment for
Okay,
items
I'm going
on
to go to
council's-
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we can go back to items 41 and 42.
Yes, sir.
Both of those are settlements that have been considered by Budget and Finance, which recommends approval of the city attorney's recommendations. Those can be resolved in open session unless members have questions or concerns.
Okay, well, why don't we try to handle those now? Mr. Clerk, if you could read those
Very
two
good,
items.
sir. For item 41, in the case entitled Naranjabai Patel et al. Versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $668,370.80 in settlement of attorneys' fees and costs incurred on appeal. And for item 42, in the case entitled Travon Johnson versus City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $550,000 in settlement.
Okay, members, let's prepare to vote on those items. Let's open the roll. Let's close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
That brings us where, Mr. Clerk?
Items called special.
Okay, Mr. Englander.
So is it newly added, right?
Newly added? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And we'll call him Mr. Englander.
Great. Thank you very much, colleagues and council members, Council President Weston. I'd like to first and foremost apologize for any inconvenience yesterday. The Public Safety Committee meeting, which was scheduled at 8:30, did begin, in fact, on time, but we had a one-item agenda and went much longer than it should have, and in fact, for over a couple hours. But notwithstanding that, the most important thing, and I stand behind the council president on this 100%. So we absolutely have to meet in council on time to do the people's work. And so it becomes a very big inconvenience for many, including staff and others, when that doesn't occur. So I'll make sure that, as the chair of that committee, that won't happen in public safety again. And if there is an issue, quite frankly, and I take full responsibility for that, if there's an issue that requires much more time and we can't finish or adjourn that meeting, we'll recess the meeting and continue it either that afternoon or some other time in the future. I also want to thank, though, my colleagues that were at the committee meeting. It was a robust and critical discussion that will continue as well, but wanted to start the council meeting with that this morning and thank the council president personally for your leadership.
Thank you. Stuff happens. Now let's get back to work. Why don't we take up item 45? Why don't we ask Ms. Bartels to come forward? Somebody that we all know. We want to, many of us around this horseshoe have known you for many years, and now we have an opportunity to confirm you for a leadership position, one that you've worked very hard and you're deserving of. And so I thought it would make sense to have you say a few words. And again, like I said yesterday, I'm sorry your parents aren't here today, but you are here today. So why don't you let us know the direction or the future that you're going to take this office in. Ms. Bartels, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am honored to be with all of you here today and excited to begin this new chapter of public service. I'd like to thank Mayor Garcetti for placing his trust and confidence in me in presenting me with this opportunity to become the next Director of Finance for the City of Los Angeles. I am committed to enabling the Office of Finance to be the most responsive, the most efficient, and the most effective office that it can possibly be. And I look forward to collaborating with each of you in the City Council, the Mayor, and our greater business community to ensure that that happens. As you've mentioned, and as I know a number of you know, I have devoted my entire career to public service. And I'd like to say that public service to me is not just a job, it's not just a title, it's not just a position. For me, public service is my passion. And that passion stems from the people that I've worked with, and the people that I've served. The residents of the City of Los Angeles, the business community, the hardworking men and women employed here at the City of Los Angeles, and including the special team, the amazing team in the City Controller's Office that I've had the pleasure of working with these last 6.5 years. And of course, the incredible people that I have worked for, including, but not limited to, former Councilwoman Cindy Misikowski in the 11th District, former City Councilwoman and former City Controller Wendy Gruhl, and a man that I have worked for and at his side for the last 2.5 years, whom I greatly respect and admire, and who has taught me a great deal, Los Angeles City Controller Ron Galperin. Lastly, but certainly not least, and I know this sounds a bit more like an acceptance speech, but thank you for indulging me, are the people who have supported me in my passion these many years, and that's the people closest to me, my family. Thank you for acknowledging my parents, who are the greatest role models a daughter could ever wish to have, Bob and Bobby Thompson. My husband, my rock, former general manager, John Kirk Muckery, and my children, my 2 children who would be here today, except for the fact that they're pursuing their own passions. My daughter in theater, and my son who's serving our country in the United States Air Force. I love this city, and I am so proud to be accepting this opportunity that we are here for today. Thank you very, very much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. I think that you're just so well known around this horseshoe and so highly respected. There are no questions at this point in time. We are excited about you, excited about the future, and we all feel sorry about Mr. Galperin. But life goes on. So with that said, why don't we open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's go to item 2 quickly. Mr. Previn, on item 2. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Council President Wesson. It is Eric Previn on item 2. Which meeting is this?
Mr. Previn, just speak to item 2.
Just clarify.
No. Mr. Previn, speak to the item. If you don't know what meeting it is,
Item
then how
2
could you fill a card
I'm
out?
on item 2E, which
So
is...
just speak to the item.
Well, I'd like to know... Okay, fine, sir. It's 2E.
One more time, and then you'll forfeit your time.
It's a lien that we're settling with a group called MGA, Inc. MGA is a entertainment company that work out of CD6, that's Nuri Martinez's district, and they're also in business with Mr. Englander at 20,000 Prairie. They're doing a big 660-unit development, and here they're being fined $31,000 for not paying their taxes. So it raised a little bit of curiosity among the public as to how in the world that could be happening, that we're chasing around a guy who we, in my view, gave an extraordinarily good deal, because whereas Jameson is providing 10% in low affordable, this group is providing zero affordable. They're providing $200,000 here and $200,000 there to 501c3s of Mr. Englander's liking, but that's it. And frankly, in this era when development is needed, but not any development. This is a special development for employees of his company in a set of high-rises out at the old Times plant. So the idea that he's in debt to the city caught me off guard. It's Mr. Isaac Larian, for those who have forgotten. I'm sure none of you have forgotten. This is a real bad feeling for the public, I must tell you, because I know what's going to happen. This will be either settled or he'll pay the little petty thing. But ordinary residents are chased by you guys. I mean, you've got 50 of them on the item today, on the agenda today. Sir, clean up your act.
Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Let's move to item 8. I believe it's a Samuel Sakutan. Samuel, please come forward. Yes, sir.
Sorry, this is on item 89?
On item 8 is what I have on your card.
Excuse me, item 89, I apologize.
Okay, well, why don't I'll call you again when we get to 89.
Thank you, Mr. President.
On 8, we'll open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Item 92, Mr. Walsh. John Walsh on item 92.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is a Council District 2, Mr. Krikorian. We want to make his district more beautiful. Of course, currently, even he admits it needs enormous amounts of graffiti removal. Right now, Mr. Krikorian is asking for $30,000 worth of graffiti removal. I mean, I just want everyone to know, you want a graffiti, anybody who wants to do graffiti, go to Mr. Krikorian's area, because especially if you're white, because they're not going to arrest you if you're black, unless you're black. $30,000, Council District 2, for worthless graffiti, racist graffiti removal. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, let us vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, now we'll move to item 83, which is called special by Dan. Item 83.
One minute only, please. 1 minute only. So, energy efficiency. Can anyone here tell me where City Council is efficient at anything? You weren't efficient at the NFL, and you lost, and you cost us money. You weren't efficient.
Stay on the subject.
I am. I'm giving examples of how you guys don't know shit about efficiency.
Stay on the subject.
City Attorney, I'm talking about efficiency. Can I get a ruling, please?
No, just stay on the subject.
Okay, well, tell us, how are you going to lower the bills? How are you going to lower the energy bills, right? You screwed up $41 million of our money, and now you're going to tell us now you're going to be efficient about it? That's because Mr. Wesson's name on this. And even though I only want 1 minute on this, Herb, you're charging me for 2. Please, 1 minute only. And you can follow me on Twitter.
You're off the subject. Thank you very much, Mr. Bloomingfield. Mr. Bloomingfield.
Great. No, this was one that we had called special, and I wanted to really raise this issue, and I wanted to start by thanking Councilmember Fuentes, who's the chair of the Energy and Environment Committee, for allowing this important initiative to come directly to the Council in advance of the rates discussion that we're going to have later this afternoon. It was important to me to create something tangible for our constituents who need relief from the extreme heat of the summer, and with this crazy weather, extreme heat sometimes of the winter in the San Fernando Valley. Our most vulnerable populations need relief for their well-being. When you talk about energy use and you talk about air conditioning, for folks who live in the hot areas of this city, it is not a luxury. Air conditioning is a necessity. It can even be a life or death situation. For folks who don't realize the temperature differential, in parts of the city, it can be 20 degrees hotter in the West San Fernando Valley than on the west side of the city. So that's why I asked the DWP to help ratepayers realize substantial savings on their bill by having air conditioning systems and other appliances reviewed for performance, including maintenance efficiency checks at no rate to the individual ratepayer. After months of working with them, they answered the call to help constituents of the West Valley and not just raise rates on their backs. But in the end, we actually developed a program that will help the entire city. The largest source of energy use for most of my constituents is the heating and cooling system. Indeed, for all constituents in the city, it's the heating and cooling system for your home or building. It also happens to be one of the most neglected saving components. Many homes have leaky air distribution systems or duct systems. Each of these problems represents significant energy waste and causes rate charges to go up, particularly in the summer months when the cooling systems in many areas like the San Fernando Valley continuously operate to keep basic relief from the heat. To provide this relief, I have asked and received a well-developed DWP program that maximizes energy efficiencies and can actually lower people's bills. This includes free-of-charge air filter replacements, outdoor coil and flow adjustments, including refrigerant charge assessments, all things for people who need to live healthy lives in the heat and not worry about whether or not they can afford to keep a basic temperature in their house. All of these energy efficiency components have a potential for reducing cooling and heating costs, and get this, up to 30%. It is a very significant possibility if you get your systems up and running. It's like having the air in your tires when you're driving on the highway. Having the right air pressure in your tires can make a huge difference on fuel efficiency. These are significant savings, particularly for ratepayers that reside in the hottest areas of the city, like the San Fernando Valley. So the DWP has promised to reach out to needy ratepayers on this program, conduct workshops to utilize this new program throughout the city. This will also create jobs. The jobs we create in energy efficiency will grow throughout the city as DWP sends out approved vendors to homes throughout the area to ratepayers for free. Let's save ratepayer dollars on the eve of the robust discussions we're going to have about DWP rates. This is something tangible we can do. The City of Los Angeles must help our ratepayers lower their bills in any way possible. This motion does that, and I'd like to ask DWP CFO Jeff Peltola and Director of Rates Neil Gugliano to answer a few questions at the table. So with that as a starting point, let me start by asking, is it true that ratepayers' bills could actually be lower if they take advantage of this program, even if the rate increases proposed by DWP are put into effect?
Thank you, Council Member. Yes, it is true because part of this one, it will, as you pointed out, 20 to 30% savings that we'll get on the air conditioning costs, and that's going to be the highest tier energy, so it should mitigate their entire rate increase. Their bills should go down as we go forward because it's such a high savings on the energy. And it's a win-win for everything. It's also a win for the environment as well, and it's the lowest cost to serve our customers.
And you mentioned that you're going to do outreach efforts throughout the area. What's the plan for outreaching so that folks know about this program?
Yes, Councilman. So our plan for outreach is to utilize a third-party administrator to help us get the word out. We also will be doing direct email to customers. We'll partner with local community-based organizations to help get the word out. Using our customer service centers, we have open house Saturday events. We'll use that as a vehicle to get the word out. We use neighborhood councils, social media, and our other city departments, such as the housing department, to help get the word out to all of our customers.
Now, some people think, well, it's too good to be true. If you can lower your bill, how are we going to pay for our infrastructure if we're lowering bills in this regard? Can you explain how that would work?
Sure.
Would we be losing any money for infrastructure?
We will not lose any money. We accounted for a 15% energy efficiency goal in our financial plans. This is going to be a big part of that. And so all of the rates assume that we're going to have these types of reductions. This obviously I think will be very cost effective and will serve our residential customers in a very cost effective way.
And I see my time here, but just if you could explain in layman's terms how the initiative would work from start to finish, of how a ratepayer would get into this free program and when they would start seeing savings on their bill.
Absolutely. So our ratepayers will be able to contact us at the Department of Water and Power directly or our third-party administrator. They'll be scheduled for and receive a complimentary AC diagnostic and maintenance service program. As you mentioned, that'll include things such as filter replacements, cleaning of outdoor coils, refrigerant checks, and other things. And as those things are done, the system will operate more efficiently. They'll start to immediately see that impact in terms of their bills going down based on more efficient operation of their AC systems.